It's the sauce, Alexander.
This is Watts.
Make sure you like, subscribe, Ring General Podcast.
And don't forget to subscribe to the Ring Generals, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter.
Absolutely.
Do it, or I will get you.
And you're watching the Ring General Podcast. Turn this man around. Turn this man around. Subscribe, like, and comment.
Well, raise a glass in the sky and salute the Ring Generals.
That's right.
Welcome, everybody, to the Ring Generals Podcast. I am Nick Nenad, and alongside me is a full crew, the full Ring Generals crew, starting with Easy-E, Eric Santos.
What's cooking, guys?
My main man, Jesse Chaparro.
How's it going, jabronis?
And, of course, the RKJ Man.
The band is back together again. Let's talk that talk, y'all.
Guys, we have a huge show for you today. We had to get the whole band back together because we have two giant events to discuss. We have, of course, UFC 259, 3 World Championship fights on one card, along with an amazing preliminary card. One of the best booked UFC pay-per-views in history. We're going to talk about that to start. And then later on, we're going to get into AEW Revolution. Another one of their big pay-per-views, one of their few pay-per-views they actually put on. So it's definitely worth talking about. A couple big matches there, including Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega in an exploding barbed wire match. And we will also get Jesse and Eric's take on Shaq wrestling on Dynamite in a few days, or today, if you're watching this on Wednesday. RKJ Man and I talked about on our last podcast. That link is in the description. Go check that out. We also talked about WWE stuff, which we will not talk about on this podcast. So that podcast still worth talking about. But guys, how excited are we for this week? 2 big events this weekend. There's tons even this weekend. We got the NBA All-Star game. There's a ton. How excited are we about this big weekend in sports and sports entertainment?
It's cooking a milky pot right now. It's so hot. So damn hot.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's a good thing that we're having 2 big events this weekend, both from MMA and for pro wrestling. It's a good time to be a pro wrestling fan, an MMA fan. Stacked card. I would think that this card for the UFC, it would be for International Fight Week, but we're getting it early on, so I'm excited for that.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm so excited for this week. I'm so excited for this week, man. I'm going to drink that good drink. I'm going to have some good food, and 2 of my favorite things are intersecting, wrestling and the NBA. It doesn't get any better than that. Wait, because wrestling and NBA intersecting is like the best thing ever, and I'm looking forward to talking that talk on this podcast today.
Yeah, no, it's so big. I mean, we're going to try to crunch this into about an hour here. We'll see how good we do, but we're going to go full in depth to both events. We're not going to mince our words on anything, and we're going to do the best that we can, the only way the Ring Generals can. So, yeah, let's get this thing started. As you know, UFC 259, it starts Saturday, so we'll do that first. So you can still watch this podcast if you're watching it, Sunday morning. Go switch to the AEW Revolution. You can see the times in the descriptions below of where we are on this podcast. Go anywhere you want. We're not live. So, guys, obviously 3 championship fights on this card. Jan Blachowicz versus Israel Adesanya. That is the light heavyweight champion versus the middleweight champion. So that's insane in its own right. And then we have Amanda Nunes, one of the greatest fighters in UFC history, the greatest women's fighter in UFC history, defending her title against Megan Anderson, a worthy opponent. And then Peter Yan versus Aljamain Sterling, a fight that we've been looking forward to a while. It got pushed back a bit. And that's just the championship matches. We also have a couple of, technically like number 1 contenders fights in this Division 2. We have Thiago Santos versus Alexander Rakic. Islam Makhachev, who Khabib came out today and said that he thinks that might be the best fighter at lightweight right now besides him. And we also have Dominic Cruz on this card. So, Jesse, I'll give you the start on this because you're our UFC guy here. Just tell me what you're thinking about this kind of card. I mean, this is what we wait for. And we have, normal cards every single week, and even the Kamaru Usman Gilbert Burns main event. you know, it was exciting, but it's one fight. This is, I mean, there's 5, 6, 7 fights on this card that I would legitimately want to main event a card.
There's a plethora of great fights in this fight card right now.
Yeah.
Adesanya and Blachowicz facing off. Nunez and what's her name? What's that?
Megan Anderson.
Megan Anderson.
Don't worry, nobody knows who she is. You're all good. Nobody knows who Megan Anderson is, so you're good.
I mean, no, she's a great fighter. She's a great fighter. Peter Yan, Angela, and Sterling. But to be honest, I'm actually most looking forward to Makachev and Dober.
Oh yeah.
That's one of like the non-title fights I've been looking forward in for quite a while now. Ever since the fight was announced, and that's the thing I've been looking for the most. Yeah, no, this card's like this might be one of the most stacked cards I've ever seen in a while, and that's saying a lot for me, in my opinion. I have no words to say. It's just so appetizing. It's so good.
Yeah, no, I mean, and the main event itself is 2 world champions. Israel Adesanya, some say, are, getting into that GOAT status. I think if he wins the light heavyweight championship and also has the middleweight championship, you got to start talking about it there. Obviously, he's had that rivalry with John Jones, but defeating, winning John Jones's championship, because that's what John Jones will always be, the best light heavyweight champion ever. Winning that championship would be huge. So, Eric, specifically just this main event, how excited are you for this fight? A double champ fight here.
Super fight, if you ask me. This one looks, man, the stakes are high on this one. Blachowicz coming off of a strong finish up against Dominic Cruz, and Adesanya coming off from the match that he had with Paulo Costa. This one can go either way. A little bit nervous between those two because they're both likable guys. I like great guys. I like these two great guys, and Adesanya, he's just right now just on the roll, on a collision course of just mowing down everybody. I remember on the UFC countdown, he said that I'm going for light heavyweight because I don't know, I just feel like I can do it. Like, I get bored sometimes, so I just want to piss people off. I'm like, wait, what? You're going for what? Oh, okay. I mean, but you do realize you're going up against Blachowicz, but I mean, who knows? He said that he actually moved up a weight class when he was kickboxing, and so in his early kickboxing days, he would move up to heavyweight. So to him, this is like nothing new. It's just a matter of just the weight cutting and making weights. But I don't know. This one's going to be a dynamic match. Adesanya and Blachowicz. I mean, I kind of see a little bit similarities when Adesanya went up against Costa with Blachowicz, but after hearing from the statement that you sent yesterday, Nick, about Costa, why he wasn't performing, that you said that he was drunk, I'm not sure. I mean, it's kind of hard to buy into that, but who knows? Yeah. I mean, that's history. So, I mean, I don't know. With Blachowicz, I don't think he's gonna get drunk the night before. So I highly doubt that, because if he's going up against Adesanya, he better be on his A game. And Adesanya, who knows? This one can go either way, but the heavy favorite might be Adesanya. It's like I said, I'm a little bit I'm excited, but also nervous, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's, this one's a very unpredictable match.
Unpredictable. Now, so RKJ Man, I know you won't be able to watch these fights live, obviously, but when you think of a main event like this, you as a casual fan, you look at Adesanya, and he essentially is fighting anybody. He's almost calling out the next opponent, the next best opponent. I mean, he wants to fight guys like John Jones. He called out Yoel Romero. Although that fight stunk, he still called out a guy nobody wants to fight. He called out Paulo Costa. He beat the shit out of Paulo Costa. Now he goes up, 20 pounds and is fighting a guy that destroyed Dominic Reyes, who technically could have beaten John Jones. Like, you can go either way with that fight. And Dominic Reyes, a lot of people think, beat the best fighter of all time. So what do you think about a fight like this? Blachowicz coming off he's been mowing down the top of the light heavyweight division, and then Adesanya jumping up 20 pounds and fighting a legitimate badass.
Israel Adesanya is one of my people that I'm looking at to be a top superstar in MMA, UFC. I'm looking for the next Conor McGregor. I'm looking for someone who's got that charisma, who's got that talent. And I haven't heard a lot of Israel Adesanya talking, and maybe there's a reason for that. But in terms of his fighting ability and in terms of his look, he's definitely got top superstar appeal all over him. So I'm looking forward to this matchup. Honestly, we'll get into our predictions a little later. I do think that one person does have the advantage in this fight. When I was researching and looking it back over. But overall, I think this is a huge fight. And I like the fact Israel Adesanya likes to call it his opponents because I think he has a reason to. And I think we are on the verge of a potential super fight with John Jones and Israel Adesanya in the future. And that is something that I will definitely buy. And please, Dana, do that when there's fans. Please.
Damn right. Well, John Jones obviously is, the rumors are with John Jones that he's going to be potentially get a heavyweight championship match. Now, with what happened with Derek Lewis and Cyril Gahn the last 2 weeks, maybe he gets one of those guys first as a little tune-up to see if he really can fight in heavyweight. But yeah, we're all waiting for that Adesanya. But technically, this is probably the second best thing, right? I didn't even think this was a possibility that he would just all of a sudden, he'd beat Paulo Costa into oblivion, a drunk Paulo Costa, I guess. And then he's going to fight Blachowicz, who RKJ Man. If you didn't do the research on the Reyes fight, go back and watch Blachowicz fight Reyes and the scar he gave him from leg kicks in his abdomen.
It's horrible.
It's one of the worst things I've ever seen as far as a guy getting scarred that's a non-facial scar. Brutal.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely brutal. This guy's a monster, and I'm afraid for Adesanya, and I'm also afraid for Blachowicz. This is just such a big fight. But yeah, so Jesse, let's get to the next two fights. I think obviously when we look at the women's championship fight, we always give it to Nunes, right? We always expect her to win these type of fights. But what kind of opponent is Megan Anderson compared to these other women that Nunes is fighting? RKJ Man called her a nobody, but what's your opinion on Megan Anderson? Because I kind of agree a little bit with RKJ Man. I don't think Megan Anderson realistically should be in the spot.
Look, Megan Anderson, she's on the rise. She's obviously like every other fighter had her ups or downs. But then after I think about like a year and a half ago, like 2 years ago, she started going on a win streak and started bulldozing her opponents down, and she's earned the right to get a title shot. Now with Amanda Nunes, who's double champ, the first female double champion, the GOAT of women's divisions, should I say, women's MMA. There's been talk about her possibly retiring as a champion, and Megan Anderson wants to take one of those belts off of her, off her shoulders, and it's going to be a pretty good fight if Megan Anderson can push the pace and not get taken down so easily like Amanda Nunes past opponents. So there's a lot riding on this, especially for her. But also, if she wins, advances over Amanda Nunes, she's going to be the first Aussie women's champion ever. So she could make her own history. So, and Nunes is no pushover. So she's going to have a tough night, though. That's for sure.
So you think Anderson's more of is a better opponent than maybe the last few for Nunes?
Yeah, the reason I gave her, advantage over her past opponents because she has the length and the ability to strike from a distance and pick apart her opponents. And if she knows how to throw those leg kicks and throw with combos, she'll give Nunes a tough time for sure.
It's gonna be exciting. Now, Eric, when you look at like Megan Anderson's last few opponents, it hasn't been impressive. Obviously, fighting Nunes, Nunes is potentially, one of the greatest MMA fighters in the world. We saw what she did to Chris Cyborg. We've seen what she's done to everybody else. What do you think about Megan Anderson, like the quality of opponents even coming up to this fight? What do you look at her coming into this fight? How do you see her?
Anderson, I think that her coming into the fight between her and Nunes, it's obviously very bold of her to go up against possibly one of the best female fighters in the world. I just think that Anderson, as of right now, the opponents that she fought, they haven't been like top tier level. I mean, she did have a pretty good debut when she came to UFC, even though she lost against Holly Holm when she came in. Mm-hmm. I just felt like, there is some. I think there is something with Megan Anderson that we can probably see, but as of right now, it's just the amount of people that she's been facing. It's just not, I don't know, like it hasn't been like getting my attention. And so her to go up against a Nunes, it's going to be a big test for her, for Megan Anderson. So it's just a matter of where Amanda Nunes' head is at, because she just had a child. And so, I mean, that could be a possible hinder in her of how her training is now. But as far as like Nunes going, her being in defensive mode, I think that she'll do her best to keep her on the ground, do as many takedowns, kind of like what she did to Jermaine Duraname. And so I think what can happen is she'll probably do the same thing too with Megan Anderson. But I mean, no disrespect to Megan Anderson, I know she's a great fighter. It's just the amount of people that she's been fighting. It's just it's not the level that Nunes has fought. So that's
for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the disadvantage that Megan Anderson has.
I'll clarify one thing you said right there. Amanda Nunes did not have the child. She's married to Nina Ansaroff. Nina Ansaroff's the one that had the child. So technically, Nunes physically didn't have to deal anything with the child. Be interesting to see how Nina fights. She's fighting a tough Mackenzie Dern in about a month too. That's going to be really interesting to see too. But RKJ, man, your thoughts. You kind of threw shade at Megan Anderson a little bit at the start, but like when you see the GOAT of the women's division fighting anybody, like who would you want her to fight? Like technically, because and I don't even know how to really answer that either. I have one name, but it's who would you want to see her fight?
Look, all I can say is this. In regards to this fight, the only concern that I have is Modelo going to have a new commercial with Amanda Nunes? Because they've been playing that same commercial for months now, since we've been in the deep thralls of the pandemic, and I'm sick and tired of seeing that commercial. I think we should do a drinking competition. Anytime you see that commercial with the Amanda Nunes, you should take 2 shots of whiskey or something, or a sip of whiskey or something. You'll be drunk. You'll be drunk before the prelims start or before the prelims end. But in regards to Megan Anderson, I have no clue who this woman is. I have no clue what her credentials are. I don't even know why she's in this fight, and it shows a big issue with the UFC women's division and in general, because they don't have any stars in the division besides Amanda Nunes, and she can't be on every single card, and she has a personal life. Eric, I do think having a child and her having, having a kid in her life now and being a parent is going to motivate her and put her in a situation where she's going to want to come out and kill Megan Anderson.
That could also serve.
For my kid now. Like, this is just for me at the beginning, but now I'm providing for my kid. As for who Amanda Nunes is going to fight, I have no clue. Like, I wish I could BS you and give out a random answer. Oh, maybe she goes into WWE and faces Ronda Rousey. Maybe I'll give Ronda
I love it.
I mean, I don't know, but I have no clue who has faces because the division sucks. It's terrible. I don't know what Dana White is doing about it. It's awful.
The interesting thing is, like, I'll give it this. RKJ is not totally wrong. Like, besides Shevchenko, who she's beaten fucking twice, who is there? Like, we all kind of just assume Nunes is going to retire like Khabib, right? And just you're going to beat the hell out of the whole division, and you're going to have to give the title up because it's not fair, essentially, right? And especially in women's MMA, the dominant women tend to win every single time. You know what I'm saying? And when we get these super fights, that's when it gets really good. Like, Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Zhang Weili, we get that type of fight. Or when we had Shevchenko versus Nunes. Yeah, no, ever. But it's in these women's divisions, when you have these dominant champions, it's hard. And maybe Nunes does have to go to WWE to get new opponents, as crazy as that sounds. It's going to be interesting.
Charlotte Flair.
Let's do.
No. Don't you dare.
Shut the fuck up,
Don't you dare say that. I'll kick you off.
You're giving them ideas, dude. You're giving them ideas, man. You're giving them ideas. So.
Yo, Vince, you got.
Hey, you know what? I'd like to see Charlotte get in the octagon with her. Yeah, let's do that. But okay, so let's before Charlotte's name gets brought up again, let's move to the third championship fight. This fight, realistically, this could actually be the fight of the night here. Peter Yan versus Aljamain Sterling. Yan 15-1, but his only loss, he is avenged. And so technically he's undefeated. He's never lost to an opponent he hasn't beat, at least. So this guy is, one of the best in the world, Russian. He's facing Aljamain Sterling, who's gone through the likes of Corey Sandhagen, who we just saw dropped Frankie Edgar in the first round. Pedro Munez, Jimmy Rivera, they had the fight of the night on last week's card. Cody Stamann, losses earlier in his career, but Sterling's one of those guys that's gotten better. It's hard to pick who's going to win this fight. Eric, I'll give you first crack on this. What are your thoughts on this fight, the third championship fight, but technically this could be the best one?
It's a good match. Peter Yan, him coming off of a big match against his training partner, or should I say his sparring partner, Jose Aldo. It's a great match. Yeah. It's a good one. Yeah, go up against Aljamain Sterling. I think Aljamain Sterling is going to underestimate Peter Yan in this one. Although the only thing that's going to give him an advantage for Sterling is the spinning back elbows. I've been seeing him using the spinning back elbows in the last fight against Sanhagen, and so they could be a good way to try to put down maybe Peter Yan. But at the end of the day, Peter Yan, he looks like the kind of guy who can put down Aljamain Sterling. I think Aljamain Sterling is just underestimating Peter Yan. It's just the way how he's been training, and just the look on how the guy he's been the kind of guys that he's been fighting, he's been mowing down as of late. So I think Peter Yan, he's got the advantage. The only thing, just like I said, Aljamain Sterling, it's I can see this fight going maybe to 5 rounds, but it's going to be a tough one. I think Aljamain Sterling, he's going to give it a tough fight, but I think he's going to get dominated. There'll probably be signs where Peter Yan will put him on the floor, but Sterling, he's going to keep coming after him. But at the end of the day, I think Yan is going to come out on top.
Well, Jose Aldo, obviously, with that, he was destroyed beyond belief, and that fight should have ended a lot earlier. We can all agree that the referee stoppage on that, there was about a minute of head strikes that didn't need to happen. Now, Aldo, it almost seemed he's got better since that performance. It's like he knocked some sense into him or something. But it's interesting. So, RKJ Man, I'll give you the angle on this. Sterling has never fought in a 5-round fight. Peter Yan was in his first 5-round fight, in his title fight with Jose Aldo, so he does have the 5-round experience. What do you think about that? Do you think that makes that big of a difference, that one guy has one 5-round fight and the other has not been in a 5-round fight? Or do you think because relatively they're similar in time in the ring, it doesn't matter as much?
I think it makes some difference, but it's all in the training. We talk a lot about training in terms of boxing, MMA. It's a huge impact. And if this guy can train and put himself in a position to have the cardio and the physical condition to last 5 rounds, then it really shouldn't matter. But, he also hasn't been I don't think he has been in a title fight, right? He hasn't been in a title fight compared to Peter Yan.
Sterling has not been. No. Sterling has
He
not
hasn't
been.
been in a big title fight. He, and there's not just physical pressure to those title fights. There's mental pressure too, as well, to be able to perform and to be able to do well, especially if you're down in those final minutes in the 5th round. You're going to try everything you can to try to make sure you come back. So I hope that it won't be a big deal, and I don't think it's going to be a big issue, honestly, in this fight.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Jesse, I'll give you the last words on this. Obviously, amazing fight. You have a Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighter fighting more of a boxing Muay Thai fighter. Like I said, this could be the fight of the night. This could be the best championship match we see. What are your thoughts on this with both opponents here?
Both phenomenal fighters. Obviously Peter Yan knocking out Uriah Faber, just putting on a display of just phenomenal boxing, Muay Thai. He's implemented every single part of his training into the fight. And same thing, Aljamain. Aljamain has been working on submissions when he came across Corey Sandhagen. Yeah. And Corey Sandhagen is no slouch. He's like a baby assassin basically, and he put him away in the first round. So crazy. But the thing is, since Aljamain does not have the full 5-round experience like Peter Yan, and Peter Yan has those nasty leg kicks, I just want to know how long is Peter Yan prepared for those leg kicks or those calf kicks, because everybody's now using them.
Jesse, I'll talk to you about this, because I got shit on for this on Twitter last Sunday. I posted a question. I said, well, Michael Bisping brought it up, but then I took it further and said they should ban calf kicks. So what is your thought on the fact that calf kicks are kind of I don't want to say they're unfairly, like, they're kind of ruining fights a little bit, right? Like, we took it as like it's entertaining the way that it's made certain fighters better, but it almost seems like almost everybody's using it now, and it's like an unfair advantage. Like, we don't get these real fights. We get guys kicking each other in the calf, and the judges don't know how to calculate the points. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Just getting into that, and I almost assume Peter Yan's just gonna beat the shit out of Sterling's leg, and that's how this is gonna go, right? That's the worst night.
Actually,
but what's your
it's a
thoughts
good
on the whole
question.
calf kick stuff? Yeah.
It's a good question you brought that up because everybody said about that when John Jones was fighting against Quentin Rampage Jackson when he was using those oblique kicks. Everybody thought like those kicks shouldn't count at all, or those spinning back elbows. I mean, look, the MMA game is completely changed over the years, and it's still going to continue to change. Whether we like it or not, the calf kicks is going to be utilized. Benson Henderson was the first fighter that I've seen utilize it, and he did that to Frank Yeager, Nate Diaz, and Gilbert Melendez, and so on. I mean, it's always going to be there. It's unfortunate, but you're going to have to deal with it. We've seen that in the Bellator. Some of the fighters, I think Michael Chandler had that same thing against him. He got kicked in the calf, and he became completely immobilized. How should I put it?
You got it right. Immobilized.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you this. I have the fix for it. Do something about it if you're in the ring. That should be the main. Like, if you know somebody is calf kicking, I know, attack them, throw more punches, because you will lose. Like, look at Jimmy Rivera. Jimmy Rivera could have easily won that fight. I saw knockout coming in that fight, but because of the leg kicks, he lost last week, right?
Yeah, he got immobilized. His leg movement got immobilized, and so it's unfortunate.
I said you can Greg Hardy. You hit him in the balls. Hit him in the balls, bro.
Yeah, you get this. You actually get
kicking the nuts.
You get you get dock points for that.
Do what you gotta.
Anyways, back to the point, fellas.
Hit them in the balls, and as they're turning, once they come back, the balls are still gonna be hurt. Then you can knock them out with the punch.
Balls is hot, man.
You lost the point, but you won the fight. So
that's a good point. RKJ Man, not wrong. Not wrong.
Let's not get off topic right now, but it's the game, the whole leg kick game is changing. It's going to continue to change, but all you have to do is just prepare and check those leg kicks. I mean, or catch them. I mean, those are the only options you have.
Yeah, there's also been like controversy saying that people also use elbows and shoulders to find ways to weaken the opponent. So I think there's always going to be.
I mean, like back in the very beginning when when Dana White and the Fertitta brothers were in, they had the little tournament format like Bellator does today, and you had like
one night.
Yeah, they do it all in one night, and and there's some there were some elbows that is basically deadly, considered very deadly, and and those guys came out kind of brain damaged. I mean, not gonna lie. You gotta save that brain. You don't want that CTE like Ferguson. I'm sorry. No, but yeah, the elbow game has changed the MMA world, and it's gonna continue to change.
For sure. RKJ, you raised your hand. What do you want to say?
Look, I think Peter Yan's gonna win this fight. I think it's gonna be a good, hard dose fight, but I think Peter Yan's gonna come out at the end. I think it's honestly gonna go to the 5th round. I think he's gonna win by decision. But the question I have is this. Peter Yan, before the pandemic, I don't know if it's happening during the pandemic or after his recent fight, but he was calling out Henry Cejudo. Would we like to see that fight if Peter Yan?
Hell yes. Yeah, we damn right we would.
Mm-hmm. You see Triple C coming down and then come back to destroy.
I would love to see Henry Cejudo fight both the champs right now, like the champ at flyweight.
Figueroa.
Bro.
Yeah, he's calling out everybody. He calls out Figueroa, Volkanovski, also, yeah, and Jan. So yeah, he's calling out everyone, man.
It's Cejudo versus Holloway too. That'd be fucking awesome.
That's another one too.
Yeah. So no, it's gonna be. We would love to see Cejudo, RKJ Man. I was gonna bring that up. That maybe if Jan probably will have to go through Corey Sandhagen if he wins again, but maybe if he can get through Sandhagen and Sterling, Cejudo wants to come back, right? And I think Dana
would give the might go back to the Olympics.
That's true. I know. I can't take anything Cejudo says seriously, though. I like, you know what I'm saying? He's too much of a joker.
Cringe.
Yeah, the cringe king. Does he have a second girlfriend now? Like, does he broke up with the first one? He's with another one now?
He's C4 now.
Nice ball.
C4.
Wait a minute.
Balling all over Brazil right now. He's all over in Brazil right now.
Wait a minute. He left MMA to be with his fiance at the time. He broke up with her? Is that what you're telling me?
They broke up. They broke up. And then Cejudo was in
disappointing thing I've ever heard.
What a waste of a retirement. That was the most waste of a retirement. And he had us in the field because it was a pandemic. and then he goes and breaks up with her. This is a waste of time. Personally, I don't really care about Henry Cejudo. I would just like for him to come back just so he can get punched in the face. But, that's my personal.
Okay. Because for some reason, RKJ Man doesn't like Henry Cejudo. Jeez.
He's going to make Cejudo's going to make you bend that knee, okay? Watch out, RK.
The knee.
All right, so we need to get to Revolution. The rest of this card, like I mentioned, Islam Makhachev versus Drew Dober, huge lightweight fight. Thiago Santos versus Alexander Ratchik. First of all, let me give a shout out to Alexander Ratchik because never mind, he's Austrian. He is not Serbian.
He's not Serbian.
Okay, so that's number 2 versus number 4. So that could be the next fighter for the championship at light heavyweight. That the winner of that fight could be fighting Adesanya or Blachowicz next. We also have Dominic Cruz making his return versus Casey Kenney. Interesting fight there. Song Yadong is on this fight card. Joseph Benavidez, who got destroyed by Figueiredo, is fighting the undefeated Askar Askarov as the 8th fight on this card. So times here, I think Eric, Jesse, and I, we're going to get on a little bit later this week and talk more about those fights. We don't have time on this podcast, but we'll have to do maybe an IGTV and get on and just do a quick little roundup of those fights, those unsung fights that people might not know about. But let's get to AEW Revolution, switching topics completely to pro wrestling here. Well, actually, first, before we get to Revolution, I want to get Eric and Jesse's take on Shaq wrestling on Wednesday. What do you think this is? You think this is a good thing for AEW, and do you think this is going to be a good fight overall? Jesse, you can go first.
All right, so I'm gonna go say it like this. I just don't want AEW to come out like WWE and just having a bunch of celebrities come out here and put little gimmicks here and there. Like, don't get me wrong, it's entertaining on WWE, but AEW seems more of a more action, more sports entertainment than just being entertainment. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't want them to fall through the cracks. But it's actually pretty cool to see Shaq. I know they just signed the Big Show, aka Paul White. So it's pretty good deal.
So you actually like it? You don't want it to become WWE-esque, but what do you think about specifically just this match with Cody and Jade Cargill and the fact she hasn't wrestled either for the what do you think about the match itself?
It just depends how if Shaq has actually been training for this, or he just kind of walk up to the ring and just talk and that's it. I prefer to see action than just talk. So don't get me wrong. And I just want to see it. I just want to see entertainment overall. I want to see people in action. That's all.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Now, Eric, same questions to you. What do you think about the overall fact that Shaq is involved with AEW, and what do you think about the match itself?
Well, I'm not surprised at him being involved with AEW. I mean, we should have seen this coming from the very beginning. I think we talked about it before. I mean, I guess it's pretty good for the company, but as far as the match goes, I'm gonna laugh because I can't take the overall. Not the booking, it's actually the storyline. I can't really take it seriously. So, I mean, for those out there who are curious enough, who just follow basketball and want to check out Shaq in the ring, I mean, it'll be funny, it'll be entertaining, but for like the wrestling fans, it's going to be a little bit kind of. I mean, are we supposed to take this seriously, or is this just a filler match? But it's gonna be entertaining. But am I going to take it seriously? No, not at all.
A couple quick notes. Well, first of all, RKJ Man and I gave our opinions. The link is in the description on this fight, more in depth. So we're not going to talk about this. We want to get to Revolution. But Shaq was on the Dan Patrick show this morning. I was just listening to morning sports radio, and they started talking about AEW, which was crazy. But Shaq mentioned that, he kind of played up the gimmick part of it. He said that Cody's a little guy, and they talked about Big Show and all that stuff. And he also brought up just another note that he said he didn't want to disrespect the wrestlers by wearing trunks or normal wrestling gear. So he's wearing sweats and all this other stuff. So Shaq, I'll say this. Shaq is respectful of the business and isn't taking this as a joke, it seems like. He is going to take it as serious as possible, and he doesn't want to disrespect the pro wrestling ring. So I thought that as a positive. RKJ Man, after hearing that, what do you think about that? That Shaq might be taking this a little bit more seriously than we thought.
I'm glad he's taking it seriously, but good Lord, sweats to the ring? Like who's doing that? Why is he doing that? Why?
I mean, I don't think we ever seen Shaq in tights.
I really hope Tony Khan or Cody or someone just has a nice conversation and be like, bro, you're not disrespecting anybody if you wear trunks. We're not WWE. You don't get heat for stupid things back here for whatever reason. You know how you go to WWE, you get heat for saying the wrong things or doing the wrong things or whatever. Oh, you took my move. Oh, you're wearing this trunk. Oh, the color of your trunks is similar to what I wear or whatnot. Well, it's AEW. It's supposed to be like one big happy family. So I don't think anybody's concerned about Shaq wearing trunks. I don't see how that's a disrespectful thing to the business.
If you had the opportunity, RKJ, would you wear trunks or sweats if you were a wrestler? If they were to come up with you and they were to ask you, what would you want to wear?
I wear trunks.
Really?
No, he's gonna wear assless chaps, bro.
You said what?
Assless chaps.
All right, we gotta get on the next topic.
OnlyFans, baby. That's the OnlyFans.
As you see in my background, we're gonna switch to. They're still talking about assless chaps. So I got to deal with it. All right. So, all right, you got AEW Revolution this Sunday. Tons of big time fights on this card, as well as UFC 259. So it's perfect that we got both of these on here. I'm just gonna go through the card really quickly. We'll talk about kind of just what we'll go over. We'll start talking about the card. We're not gonna go match to match necessarily, but so we have two kind of gimmick matches. We have the Casino Tag Team Battle Royal. Which is obviously a knockoff of the Casino Battle Royal we've seen. It's just with tag teams. It'll be for a future AEW World Championship match. Tons of tag teams in there, as many as you can think to be in there. I'm not going to go over all of them. That will most likely probably be on the pre-show. We have Miro and Kip Sabian versus the Best Friends, Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor. We got Adam Page versus Matt Hardy in a big money match. That match will be for the loser's first quarter earnings. Interesting there. Hikaru Shida versus the winner of the AEW Women's Championship Eliminator Tournament. We don't know who the participants are in that, I believe, yet, correct? Or we don't know who the winner of that is. So we're not going to go over that on this podcast. We also have the Face of the Revolution ladder match. That was the other gimmick. That is for a future AEW TNT Championship match. So far, Cody, Scorpio Sky, Penta El Zero Miedo, Lance Archer, Preston Vance, 10 of the Dark Order, and Max Caster so far. And then there's one more person. I don't know if that's supposed to be a surprise, but one more person in that match. And then we get to the main event fights. We got the Young Bucks versus the Inner Circle, AEW World Tag Team Championships. Inner Circle beat the hell out of the Young Bucks' father, taking it a little further, so amplifying that rivalry to a whole other level. We got Team Taz, Brian Cage and Ricky Starks versus Darby Allin and a guy named Sting, making his return in a street fight. We've seen Sting take bumps and hit all of his moves so far. So Sting looks great. It'll be interesting to see that. And then, of course, Kenny Omega with Don Callis versus Jon Moxley in an exploding barbed wire death match for the AEW World Championship. RKJ, man, your thoughts on this card just initially. What are your thoughts when you hear all this stuff?
It's looking good. It is looking fucking fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it. First of all, I just want to say this. I am so grateful to God that Sting is not paralyzed. He took a bump. He took his bump, and I looked at him on the camera, and when he took the bump, I was like, oh, my God, he's not going to get up. He got up. Next week, he was fighting harder. He was hitting that baseball bat. He was doing everything he can. So I'm looking forward to that tag team match, that street fight. It's going to be good. And like I said with you guys, I expect Darby Allin eventually to turn in this situation, and we're going to get Sting versus Darby Allin at Double or Nothing. I think it starts now. As far as the other matches, you got solid matches. I'm looking forward to MJF turning the Inner Circle against Chris Jericho. I think we all know what's coming. I think the audience knows it's coming. I think everybody and their mom knows it's coming besides Chris Jericho. And it's very interesting to see what happens, because I could realistically see the audience just cheering for MJF in this situation. But I honestly think they're going to actually take the tag team championships in this matchup. I think they're going to win it. I think it's going to further fuel the fire for this whole situation with Sammy Guevara in the Inner Circle. And then that main event, that exploding barbed wire death match, I've never seen, the closest we've seen to a death match is GCW. I mean,
it's pretty close. We have never seen anything like that, but we've seen as close to it in person. I mean, I've had glass hit my body before, so during one of these events. So RKJ Man, that match though specifically, like holy shit, right?
Yeah. So yeah, in particular with that situation, it's going to be absolutely positively crazy. It is going to be a crazy, crazy matchup. I'm looking forward to it. I don't expect Jon Moxley to win, obviously, but I think it's going to be a great matchup, and I think we're going to see a lot of crazy stuff in that match.
Yeah, well, obviously we saw Moxley and Omega in another sort of death match, right? Like last year, it was before AEW Dynamite existed. So actually, it's probably about 2 years ago. Now I'm thinking about it. But yeah, so Eric, what are your thoughts on this card? Like, what are you most excited to see?
Well, besides the barbed wire death match, obviously I like to see the Inner Circle and the Young Bucks. That's a good match that I like to see. Obviously, there's a lot of, the storyline with the Inner Circle, MJF possibly turning on Chris Jericho. And obviously, I think like the heavy favorites in this one is Jericho and MJF. That would just make things a lot more interesting for them. Become tag team champions. Then have Sammy Guevara maybe involved in this match. Who knows? Darby Allin and Sting teaming up to go up against Ricky Starks and Brian Cage. That one should be interesting. Don't know where the street fight's going to occur, but that one should be. I'm looking forward to that one. I just want to see if. I just want to see. What's up?
On the football field.
I guess on the football field they're going to be battling it out, but when it comes to the street fights, I'm totally fine if they're taking it like somewhere outside the ring, because the name street fight is supposed to be outside the ring, at least in the parking lot, or maybe local, in the local streets. I don't know. I mean, do something with that. That'd be fine. But I mean, not in the ring, because I'm seeing it time and time again. Adam Page and Matt Hardy, that one seems to be a pretty good match as well. I'm looking forward to that one. And probably obviously the main event itself, it sells itself. This is the first time we'll be seeing it at a live pay-per-view. I mean, I've seen videos of it. I've seen videos of these C4 exploding barbed wire death matches. I believe Mick Foley and Terry Funk had it back in Japan. And though that was a brutal match, I was watching that, and I can only see that happening. I'm going to see the same thing happen with Kenny Omega and Moxley. So they're going to take it to the limit. So Moxley, this is like his playground in a way. So that's just how insane and nuts he is. So he's willing to completely die hard to try to kill Kenny Omega. So it's gonna be a wild match.
It's gonna be good.
For sure.
It's gonna be good. Jesse, what are you most excited about on this card?
Actually, I'm more excited about the main one. Actually, Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley, they're gonna go at it. And like Brian said, Eric said, this is Moxley's playground. His is world, his dimension, and Kenny Omega is no stranger to it. So, I mean, he's gonna welcome the pain. And he's gonna go through hell and trying to retain his title. I love it. So
it's gonna be interesting. It's like when we look at professional wrestling, 2 years ago, did we think there'd be an exploding barbed wire death match on Bleacher Report? No. Right? And so AEW is not only is it obviously competing with WWE, but it's bringing all of pro wrestling into TNT and national pro wrestling. It would be interesting to see what people think of this fight. I hope it's good. I expect it to be good. I hope it's not kind of hokey and not it's more of just guys getting burned up and stuff like that. I don't like that as much. I always point to the perfect hardcore match, WrestleMania 22, Edge versus Mick Foley. You have the weapons, you have all that stuff, and then you add in fire at the end, and it all works out, right? Like it's not this clunky bullshit match. It worked out, and the fire was the last element. So I really do hope that maybe the end of this match is the worst part, right? Like it's not just someone getting fucking two-winged angel or whatever at the end, right? Or Moxley playing Omega's head just in the middle of the ring. Right, like Eric said, it's a death match, so someone should die. If a street fight ends in the street, death match should be someone die. I'll tell you this, man. I'm excited, obviously, about all the main event fights. I always love the ladder matches too, and when you put meaning to them, I think we're going to see Scorpio Sky's vault here. I think he's going to win this Face of the Revolution ladder match, and Sky's been kind of away. He's not with SCU really anymore. And he's kind of unsung, and I could see a random guy like this win this match. So I'm kind of excited about that. Also, by the way, anytime you get Penta in a ladder match, I'm down. I am disappointed Archer and Phoenix. Phoenix is I'm surprised they had that match to be the loser doesn't get in, because I would love to see Phoenix in that match. He got hurt in the last one, I guess. Maybe that's why they didn't do it. But I'm excited about that match as well. The rest of this card, Adam Page and Matt Hardy will be a solid fight. Obviously, you need some undercard matches. Hikaru Shida she's either going to fight Thunder Rosa, Nyla Rose, or Riho. It's kind of the same shit we always see. I'm not really excited about that necessarily. The women's division they just need to fix it. I don't know if it's maybe giving the title to Nyla Rose, who's more of a legitimate champion, but I really could care less who wins that fight, which is disappointing to me.
Just give it to Britt Baker.
Yeah, but she can't even beat Nyla Rose. What, you take another 2 months to build her back up? I don't know. It's just you should have gave it to her. They should have gave it to her, but they didn't. Miro and Kip Sabian, the best friends thing, that's been kind of hokey. It's very WWE like. I haven't liked that at all. But as far as the big main event fights, I am absolutely into them. 110%. That end of that card, or whenever those big time matches come on, I'm gonna have myself a beer or a drink, and I am gonna be watching that shit till the end. I'll be focused on it. All right, let's get to kind of some predicting here. So I said Scorpio Sky, I think, is gonna win this ladder match. What do you guys think? Just quick winner. You don't even really. You just explain it really quickly, because obviously we want to get to the rest of the matches. But who do you think, guys, is the winner of this and gets the future AEW TNT Championship match?
Shoot, Eric.
I'm going for. I think this guy's been sidelined for a while, and I think he's going to be able to break off from the tag team, because I see more of a connection between Phoenix and Lance Archer, because they seem to be doing their own thing, and so I see Pentagon Jr. Cero Miedo winning this one. So that's what I'm going for. So I think it's time for Penta to go after the title.
That's it. RKJ Man, who you got to win this match?
Man, it's funny you said that. I was gonna actually pick Penta. Man, it feels like he's kind of tapered off in his momentum. He's going.
He's my guy, man. He's my guy.
the pandemic, obviously, we met him actually. But
I met.
You met him. With the pandemic and everything, and not having as many fans in the crowd, it seems like Penta's popularity is going down a little bit. But I don't know. Who's the guys in that matchup again?
So it's Cody, Scorpio Sky, Penta, Archer, 10, Preston Vance, Max Caster, who's part of the one of the tag teams, and then there is an unknown fighter as well.
Okay, so you know what I would do? I would give it to Cody. Okay, I would let him win the TNT title, or he turns heel in the process of trying to win the TNT title, and he tries to use his advantage to manipulate to bypass the rule that he made that he won't be fighting for the AEW title anymore. I would do that.
You could also that makes sense. You probably need somebody that's going to win the AEW TNT Championship, because what are we getting, Sting versus Darby Allin for the title? I think you could do that match, Sting versus Darby Allin, without the title. It could improve the overall Double or Nothing pay-per-view, right? Like you always need those matches to be on the undercard, and you want the undercard matches to not need a title, right? So I could see Cody winning that match as well. Jesse, who you got winning this match?
Actually, I got Penta as well. I mean, he's been, like you guys have been saying, he's been doing his own thing, and he's actually going up. So, he just opened up I think it was like a place down here in LA, and so
Yeah.
I mean, he's gonna get a lot more fans. So, it's gonna be good.
I'll tell you this too. I said Scorpio Sky, I think, is winning the match. Penta is like my number 2. Like, if this is MVP voting, he's got a vote from me for second place and 3 first place, which was that RKJ Man. I know you actually want him to win that title, that match too. So hey, let's see if Penta can do it, right? It's going to be interesting. All right, let's move to the tag team match. RKJ Man, you said the Inner Circle's winning this match, so I'll move on to Eric and Jesse. Jesse, I'll give you first shot on this one. Who do you think wins this match? Obviously, Jericho, MJF, kind of not the most usual tag team. They haven't been a tag team for that long, and the Young Bucks are the Young Bucks. So what do you think?
Ooh, I mean, the Young Bucks always entertaining. I mean, against Penta and Phoenix, I mean, those two guys, the best tag team matches I ever seen on live. So I mean, they're gonna bring it. Young Bucks has always brought it. And MJF and like you said, Chris Jericho, the more tag teams for long. So I think they're going to win this fight, take the titles away from the Young Bucks, and kind of build up on that. And who knows, they're going to continue with the rivalry. So I see them winning. So that's my pick.
Absolutely. So Eric, you've seen, obviously the Inner Circle is the Inner Circle. They've been breaking up, all that stuff. And then the Young Bucks have been involved with Impact's, Gallows and Anderson. So do you think they have any involvement on this match? And then who do you think wins?
Well, I don't see them involving in this match the Gallows and Anderson as two. I see them more involving with the main event than with the tag team. Sure, they'll be there by maybe ringside, but I don't think they'll be interfering there. But I do see MJF and Jericho winning this one. This is also a good way for to MJF or Jericho to say that, to kind of rub it in. Sammy Guevara saying that, hey, look, I found my best friend. Like, we actually won the tag team title, so like a job that you should have done in the first place. So like, just to rub it into Sammy Guevara saying that, yeah, this guy got the job done, and then MJF's like, yeah, that's right, Jericho. You tell him, something like that, just to make them a lot more hated and make you feel sorry for Sammy Guevara, and that could also motivate for Sammy Guevara to find himself a tag team partner and maybe go up against MJF and Jericho. But it's also a good way to just obviously to get more heat, knowing the fact that what they did to the Young Bucks' father, they win because sometimes the bad guys win, and that's just a crappy way how life goes. So that's a good way to get more hate and also continue the storyline between with Sammy Guevara. So yeah, MJF and Jericho, I see them winning.
Absolutely. So I'll say this too. Eric, I disagree with you. I think that Anderson and Gallows are going to get involved in this. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be the reason the Young Bucks lose, as much as the Inner Circle has its own turmoil. And I'll say this too. RKJ Man, I've heard in the wrestling community, a lot of people think that the Inner Circle, this might be all a game to get these titles, and that Guevara might not actually be really out of the group, and it might just be this whole ruse to where the Inner Circle controls AEW again. I've heard in the wrestling community. You said you think that MJF's going to break the whole thing up. What do you say to the people that think they're all just going to get back together again?
They're not following logic. They're not following reason. Like, it doesn't make any sense to have a huge distraction purposely like this. And it's obviously a distraction to Chris Jericho and MJF as they're trying to pursue the tag team championships. On the side you have, what is it? Sammy Guevara doing his old thing and fighting with the Inner Circle. It doesn't make any sense. And I'd be very disappointed. That's WWE style booking if they were to do that personally. I think Sammy Guevara is gone because he's pissed with MJF. It's a situation where he sees right through MJF, and MJF is just getting Chris Jericho close so he can eventually stab him in the back and ascend to even higher statuses. Or higher status. So it's a situation where it just doesn't make any sense for all of them. What is MJF? Sammy Guevara is going to go and win the TNT championship, and it's going to be it just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't agree with it. I don't know what these fans are thinking that is what's going to happen.
Fair. I'll say this. It's not necessarily just like internet sleuths either. It's some of the bigger names in the wrestling community too. I've heard JD throw it out for sure. I've heard a bunch of I always mix up a lot of the other, guys we see like, who's the Fightful, Sean Ross Sapp. I've seen a lot of that stuff come out from a lot of those different guys that's a possibility. But hey, it'd be interesting. And that's why I want to watch the match, right? Because you have the Impact, you have Anderson Gallows. You have, Kenny Omega technically involved in this storyline too. You have the Inner Circle. There's a bunch of people that can get involved in this that makes it a good match as well. RKJ Man.
I was meaning to say this. Part of the reason I think why Sammy Guevara in storyline left was to branch out and be his own man. So for him to win a championship then come back, it's just not going to help him. I think at this point, he personally wants to say, you know what, I want to be my own person and I want to get done whatever I want to get done on my own. And it kind of hurts Sammy Guevara's character, and with all due respect, we've met JD from New York, Nick, at one time. And he said, I don't want you to always agree with me. He told me that. And in that case, JD, my friend, I don't agree with you in this situation.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I just want to throw out all the theories out there for you guys. All right, so moving on, Team Taz versus Darby Allin and Sting. Well, real quick, actually, Jesse, who'd you say was going to win the tag team title match?
Say Chris Jericho and MJF.
Okay, so we all agree. We all agreed that they're going to win the match. All right, Team Taz, Brian Cage and Ricky Starks versus Darby Allin and Sting. RKJ Man, I'll give you the floor on this one first because you kind of revealed what you thought would happen here. The Darby Allin would eventually turn. Does that happen this match? And what happens in this match, in your opinion? You kind of threw out the theory there.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen at this match. I think we're Double or Nothing is in May. We're in March right now. I think we still got a little bit ways to go. But stuff is going to happen eventually. And you're going to see teases of it in this match. Darby's going to have an opportunity to do something to Sting. He's not going to do it, but it's going to get teased. Because we've seen it before. AEW teased it with Cody and MJF, and it eventually happened. So I think this is going to be a knockout brutal fight. If Sting is fully clear to compete, and he's taking power bombs, and he's willing to actually do all those hard hits and get hit with steel chairs and whatnot, then go all in. I mean, go all in for it. And I expect a lot of crazy stuff. I expect Darby Allin to jump off some. Hey, why don't he jump off the roof of the stadium? Why did he do that? Just jump off the roof of the stadium and do something crazy with the skateboard.
Hey, RKJ Man, it's not a death match. It's a street fight.
It pretty much is a death match when Darby Allin's wrestling. Because he does some crazy, crazy stuff. So I'm expecting Sting and Darby Allin obviously to win, but I think it could be the match of the night, honestly.
Oh, yeah, no, interesting enough. So, Eric, I'll pose this question to you. Do you think that you want it to be a street fight, obviously you want it to be somewhere else. Do you think this is cinematic in any way?
Well, if they're doing cinematic, then that just doesn't make anything different from WWE because they're also going to get criticism by the fans by saying, "Oh, why are you getting this from WWE?" But then at the same time, don't want to get really too much involved in it, but the guys who did the cinematic stuff was the Lucha Underground guys. So it's fair to say that the Lucha Underground guys were the guys who did the cinematic matches. But then again, WWE wants to take credit for it. But either way, if I want it to be like mostly out on the street or somewhere else, like outside the ring, so that way, I mean, yeah, I'm going to see some crazy stuff coming from Darby Allin. I see this match in the favor of both Darby and Sting because I don't see this feud fading away anytime soon because Hobbs, I don't see Hobbs involved in this whole thing. So, and I don't really see Taz's son involved in it too. So chances are that they'll probably prep up Hobbs to go up against Darby in the future and Sting. And so I don't see this storyline fading away, but it's great to see Sting coming back and hopefully see where he's at. I see them winning, and this is also kind of a waste of WWE. Like, this is how we treat Sting. We treat him a lot better here than how you guys did it over at WrestleMania. So that's also kind of like a way to kind of get them back as well. So
Absolutely.
It's also a good way to bring him in and then have him win. And Darby Allin on the future, they're going to develop some sort of like a good friendship and chemistry until the day comes when Darby Allin goes full on heel and attacks his idol.
It's gonna be interesting. So RKJ Man, you said Darby Allin and Sting were winning this match, right?
Yes.
And then Eric, you're also saying Allin and Sting. So I agree with you guys. There's no way they're putting an 0-1 on Sting's record. I mean, come on, let's go. This isn't the Miami Dolphins. This isn't the New York Jets. Okay, this is Sting. All right, like, he's not going 0-1, right? And the TNT champion's not losing to two guys that don't have the best record either, right? It's too bad because I feel like Cage and Starks haven't really won the big fights, so it's kind of like putting them in this scenario. Their records don't look as good. I think they rack them up on Dark, which is whatever, right? But there's no way you have Allin and Sting. This could be interesting. I do think there's going to be an element of cinematic stuff in this. I've heard we saw Darby Allin on the zip line on Dynamite last week. I think we're going to get some zip lining maybe from Sting, some old school, WCW stuff. I think this is going to be a good match. I don't think it's going to be hokey like the Stampede was in the ring. And I think it's going to be, we're going to see maybe this fought in a warehouse or somewhere. Like, it's not going to be glamorous. It's going to be brutal. And we've seen Sting can take bumps. It's going to be interesting to see if he takes them outside the ring too. That's just a whole other element, like RKJ Man was saying. And yeah, when he took a power bomb on Dynamite the other week, I was like, they're trying to kill him. Like, they're trying to kill him, you know?
Oh, I thought he was broken down.
Yeah, well, but it's also awesome to see because he comes back and does a stinger splash and his finisher looked like the best he's ever hit it. So, Jesse, who you got winning this match? Darby Allin and Sting or Team Taz?
I got Batman and Robin, aka Sting and Darby Allin. So,
who's Robin?
You mean the Crow?
Darby Allin's Robin. Come on, it's Sting, bro. It's Sting.
Sting. Come on, Sting's Batman. I mean, come on. How can you not compare those two?
The Crow, Jesse.
I got them.
I don't know. Some people say Darby might be the Batman now. He's much younger and he's more of the anti-hero now. A lot of people recognize Darby Allin more than Sting.
Hey, and some people think that the Inner Circle is going to double turn us. So I'm just saying, there's a lot going on. All right, moving on to the main event, AEW World Championship match, Kenny Omega with Don Callis versus Jon Moxley, exploding barbed wire death match. By the way, real quick note, Jon Moxley actually defeated Kenta for the US IGWP, defended his title, so he's still that champion. Does that change any of your guys' opinions? I think, do we all expect Omega to win this, or does anybody think Moxley's going to win it?
I think Moxley's going to retain it. I think they're going to try.
Well, Moxley's not the champion. I'm saying
no, not Moxley.
Omega.
Omega. Yeah,
okay.
Kenny Omega.
So we all think Omega wins?
Yeah.
So I'll pose it like this because we don't need to discuss. I think Kenny Omega is obviously the hottest thing on wrestling TV right now, maybe besides Roman Reigns, and so you need to keep the title on that guy. But is there a scenario we can see Moxley winning? Like, let's go around here. Do we? Obviously, it's a championship match. There's got to be some scenario. I do think him winning the U.S. title in Japan means that he might be a little more active than we expect, even though Renee's pregnant. Like, I think that he might be active within the weeks that's happening. I don't think this is a Seth Rollins situation. So I'll just come out here first. I think he can win this match because potentially it sets up a rematch at Double or Nothing as well. So I'll throw that out there. I think he could win. It is his backyard. And I believe who won the match 2 years ago? I can't remember.
That was
Moxley. Okay, so I'll go. I think I think Omega should win the title. But I think if there's any way Moxley wins, it's just the similar way that he did it last time. And, maybe with some help or something like that. But I think Moxley could win, and I think that US IGWP Championship win last week proves that he can win the title. Jesse, what do you think? Do you think there's any way Moxley can win?
Yeah. I mean, not that you brought it up. I mean, if he's gonna win it, might as well be at Revolution. I mean, the way he's play out the scenario, and he's gonna be more active. So, I mean, I like to see him be active. So, why not?
Eric, what do you think? I mean, you were instantly Omega all the way winning this match. Do you think there's a way Moxley can win this?
As much as I like Moxley, it's kind of hard for me to say that Moxley would have a chance of winning, because it's kind of saying that, well, it's mostly like Moxley going to be winning this whole rivalry. I mean, the last time that they fought, I don't know if you want to count that as a, what was it, like a unsanctioned match that they had over at Full Gear. Moxley won that match, and then coming here to Revolution with that and have Moxley win. I mean, it's almost like saying, oh, well, that's basically saying that Moxley is winning this whole thing, this like the streak, but at the same time, it's like not really going to help out Kenny Omega at all. But it would be better off for Kenny to win this by also putting this into his resume by saying that, like, yeah, John, guess what? I just beat you at your own game. You know, kind of like rubbing it in, like another star who can rub it in on John Moxley, saying that I beat your ass in your own playground, in your own world. You know, what does that make you, huh, John? What does that make you? So something like that, something for him to boast about, and that just to make Kenny more legit that, yeah, he can wrestle, but he can also wrestle in the most dangerous matches, and he can go out to anybody. That just proves that he can go out to like any organization that has like death matches, even barbed wire and all that. So yeah, I can't see John winning this one. It'd be nice, but John.
I'll say this too. The one way I can see Moxley winning this, and you know what, I might be changing my opinion here now, thinking about some stuff. When we look at this pay-per-view, we don't have any future AEW World Championship match qualifiers. I think they're giving this away. I don't think there's anybody on the level of Moxley and Omega that could be fighting right now. And I think with a pay-per-view only 2 months away in Double or Nothing, if they do end up doing it, in May like we expect, Memorial Day weekend, I think this is set up for Moxley to win this match in his way, and then obviously probably go off in the sunset, whatever. But I think Moxley's going to win this because I don't see a clear other opponent. RKJ Man, answer that for me. You can't say Kenny's going to win and then not say there's an opponent, right, coming up next.
An opponent could get built up. I mean, there's opportunity somewhere. I mean, you make a good point, but I'm sorry. I just think John Moxley's going to die on Saturday. Sunday. I think he's going to die. I don't know if you guys saw it, but there was like sunlight coming through and I had to change my computer. He's going to see it looks like heaven. He's going to see what looks like heaven after this matchup with
I like it.
Omega. But I mean, honestly, the only way John Moxley wins is if he gets somebody from his past to help him. And I'm thinking if AEW has a positive relationship still with New Japan, if they can find a way to get this person, maybe he can help John Moxley. Juice Robinson. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of him or no.
I know who he is.
Robinson apparently has this relationship with Moxley after they had a fight and after they had this brutal, intense, I don't know if it was a death match, but this just brutal matchup a year or so ago in New Japan. It's a big thing. And now it's a situation where Juice Robinson and him are cool. If they can find a way to get Juice Robinson over here to the States, maybe have John Moxley have an equalizer, because we know Don Callis is going to play a role in this match. Maybe have Juice Robinson there to kind of help John Moxley, and maybe that can help John Moxley win. But either way, I think John Moxley's going to die on Sunday, and he's the sunset, and he's going to have his baby with Renee Young, and that's okay.
Hey, I'll say this, man. So you guys all had Penta winning, and I had Scorpio Sky. I'll go Moxley. I think Moxley wins this. Through my wrestling logic, I don't see a way he loses, because I think there needs to be another championship match between the two, and I don't want this rivalry to end. Moxley can take a couple weeks off. Moxley seems like that guy that would put wrestling over his child. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think he could be that champion that would still be that fighting champion even when he had a kid. I know.
He's willing to die for
I'm
it.
just saying. Moxley's not like Rollins or Reigns. Like, I think it's a little different. Like with the Shield guys, I think Moxley's so pro wrestling in his veins that they could give him the title. And if they asked him, hey, can you win this, or do we want to go somewhere else? He said, no, I can. Let's do something at Double or Nothing, right? And then we have this Iron Man match or some crazy shit going on there. So I'll go Moxley winning for sure. All right, guys, what a podcast. By the way, real quick, the UFC advertisement, Ring General's advertisement there. I'm going back to normal just to end the podcast here. Good shit as always, guys, right? And we fit both these things into like a, I don't know, hour, 10 minutes, something like that. Not
that happened.
My last cut was longer than this, so whatever. It's not a big deal. But yeah, so I'm excited about UFC 259 again. We'll have some more content. We'll Jesse, Eric, and I, whoever can get together, we'll go over the mid card, the lower card of that at some point. That could even be Saturday afternoon. And then maybe, Eric, we have UFC. We have UFC streams.
I'm gonna check the roster. To do it, but sure. I will. Yeah.
Absolutely. So there you go. More content there. Exactly. And then of course I'll be live tweeting both events. And it will get less and less. It will get more and more stupid as I get drunk, like I did with UFC, saying it could be even.
Hey, it's
into fight. You know.
Nick, just don't have all of Twitter hate you like they did with me.
Well, I think here's the thing: Jim Cornette's gonna hate Sunday no matter what, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Exploding. I don't think he's gonna watch.
He's already got his script going.
Exactly. But RKJ Man, you and your sunlight, take it away.
Hey man, like, comment, and subscribe. But as always, raise a glass in the sky and salute the ring generals.